What if everything you thought you knew about the conflict between Iran and Israel was wrong? What if the deep-rooted hostility between these two nations isn't just a matter of political or territorial disputes? What if there's something far darker, more ancient, a hidden force guiding this enmity? Today we're going to dive into a truth so unsettling that it may forever change how you perceive this conflict. The story of Iran's hatred towards Israel is not simply one of modern warfare or diplomatic tension. It's a tale that stretches back thousands of years into the realms of the supernatural, beyond what most can imagine. Iran, one of the oldest civilizations in the Middle East, is often seen through the lens of modern geopolitics. However, its people of Aryan descent have a legacy that stretches far beyond current political boundaries, ruling the region now known as modern Iran for millennia. Yet there's something that most people miss. This hatred between Iran and Israel isn't new. It's not simply a product of modern conflicts or recent skirmishes. It has ancient roots, buried deep in history, and intertwined with something much more profound than political strife. The Bible tells us that this enmity isn't just a result of land or power struggles. It goes beyond what we see on the surface into a spiritual battlefield. There is a supernatural dimension to this hostility, one that has been unfolding for centuries. So I urge you to not only leave a like and subscribe, but also to share this video widely, as the truths we uncover today could reshape your understanding of this ancient and dangerous conflict. Let's start by traveling back in time. According to both the Bible and conventional history, Iran wasn't always the land of the Aryans. In fact, before the arrival of the Aryan tribes, this region was known as Elam. Elam was a nation of Semitic origin, inhabited by the descendants of Shem, one of Noah's sons, according to the Bible. This means that the ancient Elamites were part of the Semitic lineage, the same lineage from which the people of Israel are descended. How then did this land transform from a Semitic nation into the Iran we know today, a nation dominated by Aryan people? Over thousands of years, waves of Aryan migration swept through the region, and these Aryans, descendants of the Indo-European peoples, eventually came to dominate the land. The blending of Semitic and Indo-European elements forged the multicultural identity of ancient Iran. But make no mistake, modern Iranians are largely descended from the ancient Persians, one of the most powerful and influential Aryan ethnic groups. The Persians were just one of several Aryan peoples that settled in this region, alongside the Medes and other tribes. Yet beneath this cultural fusion lies a dark, historical reality. According to biblical texts and sacred history, one of the most important ancestors of these people is Madai, a descendant of Japheth, who was one of Noah's sons. Madai is traditionally associated with the Medes, and by extension the Medo-Persians, making him a forefather not just of the Persians, but of all the Aryan peoples in that region. This ancestral link ties the Iranians to a deeply ancient past, one that stretches back to the dawn of human civilization and intertwines their fate with that of Israel in ways most have forgotten. And yet, this is not just a story of migration or cultural integration. The real question is, how did this ancient, interconnected history lead to the deep-seated hatred we see today? Could this animosity be driven by something beyond the natural? The Bible hints at a spiritual conflict, one that has been brewing for millennia. Now let's explore the very identity of Iran itself. The name Iran originates from the ancient term Aryan, which means land of the Aryans. This term has been used for centuries, ever since the Aryans first settled in this region. In fact, the first recorded use of the name appears in a 3rd century inscription, where the term Iran was used to describe the homeland of the Aryans. But the story doesn't stop there. The word Iran carries a mythological significance as well. According to ancient Iranian mythology, the name is linked to a legendary king named Iraj, suggesting that the identity of Iran is not just ethnic, but also deeply rooted in its mythological and cultural history. The term Persia, widely used by Westerners until the mid-20th century, also speaks to this complex identity. The name Persia originally referred to the province of Fars, a key region of southwestern Iran, and the term was popularized by the Greeks around 550 BC. For centuries, Persia was the name used by outsiders to describe the entire country. But in 1935, Shah Reza requested that the international community begin using the native name Iran to reflect the nation's true identity. Despite this change, the word Persia still lingers in cultural references, evoking images of a glorious past and a rich heritage. The truth is, Iran and Persia are not just names of a country, they represent a history, a people, and a culture that has evolved over thousands of years. But more importantly, they represent an identity deeply tied to the conflict with Israel, a conflict that goes beyond the borders of the modern world, into the realms of the ancient and the supernatural. As we trace this narrative further, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary geopolitical dispute. The hostility between Iran and Israel has spiritual underpinnings. Could it be that this enmity is part of a larger cosmic battle? The scriptures suggest so. There are forces at play here that transcend human understanding, forces that have driven the course of history and continue to shape the Middle East today. The intense hatred that modern Iran exhibits toward Israel is not merely a product of contemporary political tensions or nationalistic fervor. In fact, many believe that there is an ancient, deeply spiritual root to this animosity, one that can be traced back through centuries and is intricately woven into biblical prophecy. The enmity between these two nations is often seen as more than just human opposition. It has been described as a manifestation of dark, supernatural forces that have been working against Israel since the days of the prophet Daniel. The Bible, with its symbolic yet profound teachings, holds many mysterious references to kingdoms rising against Israel, and among these, ancient Persia, which corresponds to modern-day Iran, plays a significant role. This hatred, which is believed to originate from a spiritual source, goes beyond mere geopolitical conflicts and represents something much darker. Despite this antagonism, Persia is paradoxically also portrayed in the Bible as playing a positive role in the story of Israel's deliverance. In the Old Testament, Persia is recognized as an instrument of God's will. It was through the Persian king Cyrus that the Jews were freed from their captivity in Babylon. King Cyrus, chosen by God himself, is referred to in numerous prophecies as the liberator of Israel, bringing an end to the exile and allowing the Jews to return to their homeland. This act of liberation is one of the defining moments in biblical history, marking Persia not only as a kingdom of opposition, but also as a tool in God's plan for Israel's restoration. Emerging kings, such as Xerxes and Darius, also feature prominently in the biblical narrative, underscoring the central role Persia played in shaping the fate of the Jewish people. But it is in the book of Daniel that we uncover the true origins of Iran's ancient and spiritual hatred for Israel. Chapter 10 of Daniel provides us with a glimpse into a cosmic battle that has been raging behind the scenes for millennia. In the third year of Cyrus, the king of Persia, Daniel received a divine revelation that revealed the hostile times ahead. The vision is described as both true and deeply troubling, pointing to wars and fierce opposition. During this time, Daniel fasted for 3 full weeks. He consumed no delicacies, no meat or wine, and did not anoint himself. Then, on the 24th day of the first month, Daniel found himself standing by the Tigris River when he witnessed a vision that left him both astonished and terrified. In this vision, Daniel saw a man clothed in linen, with a belt of the finest gold around his waist. His body gleamed like beryl, and his face flashed like lightning. His eyes blazed like torches, and his arms and legs shone like polished bronze. His voice was as loud as the sound of a multitude. Daniel was the only one to see this vision, while the men with him were overwhelmed with fear and fled. Left alone, Daniel was stricken with weakness, his face pale, and he nearly collapsed. As the voice of the man reached his ears, Daniel fell into a deep sleep, his face to the ground. Then a hand touched him, raising him onto his hands and knees, and a voice spoke, "Daniel, you are highly esteemed. Consider the words I am about to speak to you and stand up, for I have been sent to you." Trembling, Daniel stood as the man continued, "Do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day you set your mind to gain understanding and occurred and when the kitchen murmurs were heard, and I have come in response to them." But what the angel revealed next would shed light on the dark forces behind Iran's hatred for Israel. The angel explained that for 21 days he had been resisted by the prince of the Persian kingdom. This prince was no human ruler, but a powerful demonic entity, an evil force sent by Satan to oppose God's will. The angel was unable to overcome this demonic power alone and needed the intervention of Michael, one of the chief princes and leader of God's heavenly army, to help him break through and continue his mission to deliver the message to Daniel. This encounter reveals that the deep-rooted hatred Iran has for Israel is not merely a product of human history or political rivalry. Instead, it is fueled by the influence of a demonic force, referred to as the Prince of the Persian Kingdom. This prince, a fallen angel in service of Satan, has been operating in the spiritual realm for centuries, opposing Israel and perpetuating darkness. The Bible tells us that this demonic entity, which controlled ancient Persia, continues its malevolent work in modern-day Iran. Its purpose is to obstruct and wage war against Israel, and it has done so since the time of the prophet Daniel. And what's particularly striking about this passage is that the angel, who many believe to be Gabriel, could not defeat the prince of Persia on his own. Despite being a powerful angel of God, Gabriel was held back by the overwhelming darkness of this demonic entity. It was only with the intervention of Michael, the archangel who leads God's armies, that the angel was able to break through and deliver his message. This cosmic battle between the forces of light and darkness highlights the profound spiritual significance of the conflict between Iran and Israel. It is not merely a matter of politics, but one of deep spiritual warfare. The hatred that Iran holds for Israel today is a continuation of this ancient conflict. It is not a common rivalry between nations, but something far more insidious, rooted in the influence of this demonic prince of Persia. This entity, sent by Satan himself, works to incite hatred and opposition against Israel, and this is the true source of the antagonism we witness today. It is a hatred born of darkness, nurtured by demonic forces that have been warring against God's chosen people for centuries. The Bible's account makes it clear that this is not just a battle fought on earth, but one that also rages in the heavens. The spiritual forces behind this conflict are as real and powerful today as they were in the time of Daniel. The demonic prince of Persia continues to operate in the shadows, manipulating and fueling hatred against Israel. But just as God sent his angels to intervene in the past, we can trust that he will continue to protect his people and fight for them in the future. Thus, the enmity between Iran and Israel is more than just a geopolitical struggle. It is a spiritual war, one that has been raging for millennia. So while the forces of darkness may continue to wage war, we know that the power of God and his heavenly host will ultimately prevail. And thank you for watching this video. If you found this content insightful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment below and share this video with others who might find it valuable. God bless you all, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.